What's going on, guys? My name is Fantastical, and today I'm bringing you guys all of the new perks, ammo mods, and field upgrades, as well as the augments, both major and minor, in Black Ops 7 Zombies. When you consider the number of augments in Black Ops 7 Zombies, Treyarch is bringing us a massive amount of new ways of playing, and I thought I'd share those ways of playing with you guys here today. So as a prerequisite to all of this, you're newly able to unlock a secondary minor augment slot. That means we can have one major augment and two minor augments active for anything, meaning that once research is completed for a specific perk, ammo mod, or field upgrade, your perks, ammo mods, and field upgrades will all be able to have this one major and two minor augments. So you can have 3 augments active at once, and there are 8 total augments, not including extra slot per perk, ammo mod, or field upgrade.
We've expanded the augment research to add an additional minor and major augment.
And on top of that, the final bit of progression is unlocking a secondary minor augment slot, so that you can basically equip a major augment and 2 minor augments together.
And adding that ability to have a second minor really expands your power levels. Every single perk is slightly better, and my ammo mod's better, and my field upgrade's better.
But let's get into the perks. So our new perk here is Wisp Tea. Drink to summon a companion wisp after killing zombies. This perk specializes in adding a protective ethereal creature that remains near the player, appearing only after the player inflicts a large amount of damage to the enemy. Use of field upgrades, equipment, and other high damage items quickens the summoning. Once summoned, the wisp begins to slay nearby zombies for around 30 seconds. 2 minutes later, it can be summoned again. The wisp is summoned after defeating a number of zombies, and the number is important rather than the speed of slaying, though obviously the wisp will appear more quickly if the enemies are killed with haste. The wisp targets all zombie types indiscriminatively, and the wisp also realizes the importance of turning around and will refrain from killing the last zombie remaining. As for the major augments on Wisp Tea, we've got Mask of Wrath, where the demon does more damage. Next, we've got Mask of Salvation, where the fox can revive you while it's active. This can be done up to 3 times per match. Then we've got Mask of Distraction. The monkey attracts enemies and does damage in an area. And then we've got Mask of Benevolence, where the maiden does not attack but will periodically heal you. As for minor augments, we've got Extension, which will increase the wisp's lifetime, Haste, which will decrease the cooldown before a wisp can be summoned, Zombie Sitter, where the wisp will attract and avoid damaging the last zombie in the round until the round times out, or Fetcher, where the wisp will pick up items and power-ups for you aside from the nuke. And next up is Der Wonder Fizz, and we have a few updates for Der Wonder Fizz. The base purchase price of Perk-a-Colas is based on previously purchased perks, and increases to the price now don't include ones you may have obtained for free using power-ups, gobblegums, or Easter eggs, for example. In Black Ops 6, Der Wonder Fizz machines became available at round 25. In Black Ops 7, the arrival of a Der Wonder Fizz machine is dependent on you and your teammates, and it now also arrives after a certain number of perks have been bought, including repurchases by all players. Juggernog classically increases your maximum health from 150 to 250. As for our major augments, we've got some adjustments to Turtle Shell, where armor acts as a shield on your back, completely absorbing damage to your rear. The adjustment is that armor completely absorbs damage to your back, while also now allowing normal damage mitigation to your front. And there's a new major augment called Iron Core, where your health is increased when all of your armor plates are broken. As for minor augments, there are some changes to hardened plates, so armor plates have more damage to mitigation, and the adjustment is that the damage mitigation has been reduced slightly. We've also got a new minor augment called Shake It Off, where incoming damage will occasionally be significantly reduced. Next up, we've got PhD Flopper, where you can explosive dive to prone, and there's immunity to self-inflicted explosive damage. Next is PhD Slider, where sliding into enemies triggers explosions. The adjustment is that effectiveness when sideswiping has been reduced. This augment triggers when impact occurs during the direction of travel. Next up, we've got a new major augment, Double Whammy, which releases a second explosion shortly after the first one. And in the minor augments, we've got some changes. In Tribologist, sliding distance and speed are increased, but as for the adjustment, both the sliding speed increase and general speed bonus have been lessened slightly. There's also a new minor augment called Stuntman, where wall jumping creates an explosion. Elemental Pop. With Elemental Pop, attacks can trigger random ammo mods. And as for major augments, there are no changes. However, there's a new major augment, Rainbow Pop, where weapons with an ammo mod equipped have a chance to deal the elemental damage that an enemy is weak to. And as for minor augments, we've got some changes. Vulnera Bean increases enemy elemental weakness damage, and the adjustment is that this has been lessened by a modest amount. Next, there's a new minor augment. It's called Refresh Mint, and with it, killing a special or elite enemy with its elemental weakness resets your elemental pop cooldown. Next up is Melee Macchiato. With this, replace a weapon gun butt with a deadly punch. The damage of each punch continues to increase until round 30. The punch itself is faster, so expect different damage multipliers depending on the melee weapons you use. As for major augments, there are no changes, however, there's a new major augment called Mocha Maul. With Mocha Maul, the punch is replaced with your dedicated melee weapon. As for the minor augments, we've got a change to Strength Training, where your punch can one-hit kill normal enemies for more rounds. The adjustment is that this number of rounds you can one-hit kill normal enemies has been increased, and there's a new minor augment called Barista Brawl, where you gain more essence from melee kills. Vulture Aid increases the variety of loot dropped by enemies. As for the major augments, we don't have any changes, however, there's a new major augment called Armormatic, where picking up an armor plate automatically applies it to your vest. And as for the minor augments, there's an adjustment to Picky Eater. On death, zombies have a higher chance of dropping your current equipment, and the adjustment is that the chance to drop has been lessened slightly. And there's a new minor augment called Extra Serving, where special and elite enemies you kill have a chance to drop a large essence vial. Next up is Double Tap, which gives us increased weapon fire rate, just like the OG version. For Double Tap, there are no new major augment changes, and for Double Tap, we've got a new major augment. It's called Double Dealer. Every fourth bullet in your weapon magazine deals double damage. And for minor augments, there are no changes, however, we've got a new minor augment, Double Down, where bullet weapons have increased penetration damage through enemies. Next, we've got Quick Revive, recover health and revive allies faster. We've got some changes to the major augments. With EMT, reviving an ally allows them to keep all of the perks on their bleed out circle, and the adjustment with this is that players with this augment now keep up to 5 of their perks when revived. We've also got some changes to Equivalent Exchange. If you have Quick Revive while downed, killing an enemy will revive you. This can be done up to 3 times, and the adjustment is that now you always go into your last stand pose. Quick Revive is no longer removed on use, and you keep all perks if you kill an enemy while downed. And we've got a new major augment for Quick Revive called Adrenaline Rush, where killing a special or elite enemy will start your health regeneration. There's no new changes to minor augments, but there's a new minor augment called Emergency Medical Kit, where you can now craft a self-revive kit up to 4 times. Next up is Deadshot Daiquiri, which lets you improve aim down sights, ADS precision, and increase critical damage of bullets. There's changes to major augments. Dead Again makes critical hits have a chance of adding a bullet to your magazine. However, there's an adjustment, and that's that a slight cooldown has been added, and there's a new major augment, Dead Point, where bullets deal bonus damage to enemies within point-blank range. As for minor augments, there are no changes. However, there is a new minor augment, Dead Heat, which temporarily increases your movement speed after getting a point-blank kill. Next up is Death Perception. With Death Perception, obscured enemies are outlined. There is a change to the major augments for Death Perception, and that is Critical Eye, so giving you a small chance that a body shot becomes a critical shot, and the adjustment is that a slight cooldown has been added and does not work with explosive weapons or wonder weapons. For major augments, there's a new one, Sixth Sense. This lets you see enemies close behind you and take less damage from behind. There are no changes to the minor augments, and there's a new minor augment, Hidden Gems, which makes it so that Death Perception can now see loot. Next up is Stamina Up, which gives you increased movement speed. There are no augment changes to this, however, there is a new major augment called Guns Up, which lets you fire while sprinting. For the minor augments, there are no changes, however, there is a new minor augment. It's called Footwork, and it increases non-forward sprinting speed. And next up is Speed Cola, which lets you reload weapons and replate armor faster. There are no major augment changes, however, there's a new major augment, Ammo Surge, which lets you gain a burst of speed when initiating a reload. For the minor augments, there are no changes, however, there's a new minor augment, Prestidigitation, where reloading has a chance to not use stock ammo. And that concludes the perks, so now we're on to the ammo mods. So first things first, we've got a new ammo mod, which is Fireworks. Fireworks makes it so that each bullet that hits a normal or a special enemy has a chance to launch fireworks that targets enemies. For the major augments, we'll kick things off with Big Game, where fireworks can activate on elite enemies, creating a bigger light show. Next up is Starburst. Starburst makes it so that fireworks explode immediately, sending flares through the enemies in all directions. Next, we've got Weeping Willow, where instead of targeting enemies, the flares will land on the ground and explode for a while. Then we've got Fire Wheel, which allows players to create 2 fire wheels that spin around and damage enemies. For the minor augments, with Starlight, fireworks launches more flares. With Big Bang, fireworks flares deal more damage to special and elite enemies. With High Yield, you increase the area of effect. and with short fuse, fireworks cooldown is reduced. Next up, we've got Brain Rot, where bullets deal toxic damage. Each bullet has a chance to temporarily turn a normal or special enemy into an ally. The adjustment is that brain rotted, aka charmed zombies, will now avoid slaying the last hostile zombie in the round to preserve the turn, allowing players to keep a zombie alive during investigations. For brain rot, there are some major augment changes. With big game, brain rot can charm elite enemies, and this was adjusted such that this charms elite enemies more frequently. There's also a new major augment, caustic fumes, which makes charmed enemies deal toxic damage to nearby enemies. For minor augments, there are no changes. However, there's a new minor augment, Super Serum, which increases the damage dealt by charmed enemies. Next up is Napalm Burst, which makes bullets deal fire damage. Each bullet has a chance to apply a burn effect on normal and special enemies, dealing damage over time. For major augments, there are some changes. With big game, Napalm Burst can burn elite enemies, but the adjustment was that this burns elite enemies more frequently. There's also a new major augment for this called Petroleum, which makes it so that Napalm Burst leaves a pool of fire on the ground. For minor augments, there are no changes, and there's a new augment, Backdraft, increases the activation radius of Napalm Burst. Next up is Shadow Rift. With Shadow Rift, bullets deal shadow damage. Each bullet has a chance to spawn a black hole on a normal or special enemy, warping away those nearby and dropping some from the air at lethal speed. For Shadow Rift, there are some major augment changes. For big game, Shadow Rift can activate on elite enemies. The adjustment is that the activation on elite enemies occurs more frequently. There's also a new major augment, Gravity Well, which makes it so that Shadow Rift becomes a black hole that pulls in enemies before teleporting away nearby enemy survivors. For the minor augments, there are no changes, but there is a new augment called Ammo Theorem, where teleporting enemies away adds ammo to your weapon magazine from stock. Next up is Deadwire, where bullets deal electric damage. Each bullet has a chance to stun a normal or special enemy, causing them to generate an electric damage field. For major augments, there are changes. For big game, Deadwire can stun elite enemies, but the adjustment is that this stuns elite enemies sooner. There's also a new major augment called Ball Lightning, where activating Deadwire launches an orb that deals electric damage to nearby enemies as it moves. Additionally, there's a new minor augment called Aftershock, where enemies that are stunned by Deadwire have a chance to spread to nearby enemies. I'm not sure if this is similar to the Wonderwaff zapping, but that would be pretty cool. Next up, we've got Cryo Freeze, where bullets deal frost damage. Each bullet has a chance to slow a normal or special enemy and increases the damage they receive. With Cryo Freeze, there are two major augment changes. First, there's Big Game, where Cryo Freeze can slow elite enemies, and the adjustment is that this slows elite enemies more frequently. Then we've got Ice Cloud, where enemies that are killed while frozen may leave a cloud that slows enemies, and the adjustment is that a cooldown has been employed to adjust and lessen the number of ice clouds appearing. Finally, there's a new major augment, Cold Company, where Cryo Freeze has a chance to activate on more than one enemy at a time. And for the minor augments, there are no changes, and there is a new augment. It's called Thermal Shock, and with it, enemies are damaged once they're unfrozen. Next, we're moving on to the field upgrades, starting with Toxic Growth. With Toxic Growth, you summon a deadly growth of thorns in front of you. Its major augments include Urticant, where Toxic Growth takes up a wider area, and enemies that enter the growth continue to be slowed after leaving it. Cordyception, where the first normal or special enemy to walk into the growth is entangled and charmed, attacking other enemies that enter. Pollination, where enemies killed by the growth explode, dealing toxic damage to nearby enemies and slowing them. Or Zuckery, where the first normal or special enemy to walk into the growth becomes the toxic growth itself. As for minor augments, we've got Ankle Shredder, where enemies moving through the growth are even slower. Green Thumb, which significantly increases the toxic growth health. Extra Charge, which increases max charges by 1. And Plant Food, where killing enemies with toxic growth has a chance to drop healing fruit. Next up is Dark Flare, which allows you to generate an energy beam that deals lethal shadow damage and penetrates everything in its path. There are major augment changes to Dark Pact, where a beam heals and revives other players on contact, and the adjustment is that the revive speed has been increased to ensure down players are revived more rapidly. There's also a new major augment called Muzzle Blast, where the beam now deals additional damage in a cone in front of you. No changes to minor augments, and there's a new minor augment called Dusk Flame, where enemies that are hit by the beam are dealt additional shadow damage over time. Next up, we've got Healing Aura, which allows you to heal all nearby players immediately. There are no major augment changes, however, there is a new major augment called Necromancer. With Necromancer, healing aura can now revive dead allies. There are no minor augment changes, and there's a new minor augment called Cornucopia, where affected players get a health overcharge. Next up, we've got Frenzied Guard, which repairs armor to full and forces all enemies in the area to temporarily target you. Armor takes all damage during this time and kills repair armor. There are no changes to the major augments, and there's a new major augment for Frenzied Guard called Fists of Frenzy, which makes it so that while frenzied, you annihilate enemies with your fists. For minor augments, there are no changes, and there's a new minor augment called Dual Layer, where while Frenzied Guard is active, armor durability is increased. Next up, we've got Energy Mine, which creates a mine of pure energy that detonates 3 times. There are no changes to the major augments, but there is a new major augment called Smart Mine, which makes it so that Energy Mine has more detonations and waits for multiple enemies to be in range for each detonation. For the minor augments, there are no changes, and there is a new minor augment called Recycle, where a deployed energy mine can be recycled for field upgrade charge. And last but not least, we've got Ether Shroud, where you can phase into the dark ether and become temporarily hidden from enemy detection. There are no major augment changes, but there is a new major augment, After Image, which allows you to distract enemies with a dark ether clone of yourself, hopefully like Shadow Clone Jutsu from Naruto. There are no minor augment changes, and there's a new minor augment, Impulse, which deals shadow damage to enemies on activation and increases your movement speed during Ether Shroud. But that just about wraps up this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, press the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. My name is Fantastical, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.